Hey everyone, Sean here, and welcome to a channel vlog video. It's been a while, or normally I would call these channel updates. Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm a little off on the vlogging game relating to channels. Anyway, there's a lot to unfold, so it'll be one of those long videos. So if you want to, put this on the background while you're doing something, that'd be fine. Grab yourself a snack or whatever, drink, because yeah, there is a lot to go through. As it has been a while since the last one, so naturally, I'm just gonna vent it all out. This is the kind of video. So, in a comment section, I would not. I prefer not to see those comments like, "Oh, it's too long." Okay, you can see. You can literally see the time on the corner before you click on it. So anyway, this is what you're here for when you click on these videos. Anyway, um, those kind of people are kind of like they're interesting. It's like you click on a 1 hour video, and they're just like, "Well, I'm not watching this 1 hour video." Blah blah blah. Like, okay, that always kind of like confuses me, but whatever. The internet's full of weird things, especially as of late with like Twitch and stuff like that. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to pry open that can too much, but thought I guess throw that in here for a little bit. Anyway, I wanted to actually preface this before we really go into the video after that relatively long prelude. Now this is a prelude to the preface, and now here's the actual preface. So I wanted to provide this sort of preface that this channel, to make things clear for those who have been sticking around for a long time up to this point, which I have massive respect for, that this is no longer a gaming channel or just a gaming channel. This is just a channel about me. So if you're not here for that, I understand. I get it. I have my share of unsubscribing to channels and stuff like that whenever they either take it to a different direction or they change themselves, something that I no longer, come here for is there. I get it, it is what it is. But anyways, yes, this is about me, but if you really think about it, that's what it's been all about. It's just not even like I guess to an extent that's not anything new, but I guess it is to some people when you've all been here for, like, especially for the we have fun stuff, which I do appreciate. Don't get me wrong, for sticking around for those videos for that long, but I do understand when I don't provide those videos anymore, they want to sign off or unsubscribe. That I understand. Again, same thing with myself when it comes to other people's channels. But anyways, this channel has always been about not only gaming, but I've put some car videos in here, videos of myself having fun with friends, with gaming, with board games, some card games. There has been times where I'm just like reviewing random stuff, but at least those random things actually fit me in a way, so you can't really call them random. That's why I put the air quotes in there. But of course, as of more recently anyway, car detailing, which harks back to the car part anyway. So that kind of says a number of things about me, or what I like. What are my passions? What are my interests? What are my hobbies? That's what this channel is really all about. That is one way that I express myself, and that is through YouTube. And I'm sure a lot of people share that sort of incentive and such like that. All right. So, of course, this being an update video, I wanted to like kind of break down into sections that are related to each section, of course. So there's the real life stuff, there's the gaming stuff, and of course, there is the detailing stuff and other things that will come right at the end. Now, luckily, I am able to make a list for myself so I don't get too super lost. So, anyways, which is why my eyes are going to be up and down and stuff like that, and back and forth, whatever. So, anyways, let's start with the real life stuff, of course, because the message I would say for this video is, or the words of wisdom or the words of the day is, you are the most important person for yourself or to yourself. That's something I've learned to take in. And I took that for granted at some point in my life. This is more relating to work as of late, my part-time job. I work at FedEx. I was a handler of sorts. A little hard to explain for those who don't work at FedEx, but if you know, you know. I more specifically, if you fellow watchers or have worked at FedEx, I was a DOT handler, but the DOT part wasn't even like that prominent, so I'm just like a package handler for the most part. The DOT part was just kind of like extra, and in fact, it was kind of an extra hassle to go through the physical part, or physical checkup that I have to do every 2 years. But now it looks like I don't have to do that anymore, which is a large hint of what's been going down as of recent. But let me break it down before I get there. So, yes, work has been hectic for a while. What makes it hectic isn't really the work itself. The work itself is easy. It's simple, It just involves with handling packages by sorting them into appropriate containers so that these containers are transported through their appropriate routes, through the appropriate vehicle, or shuttles, we call them, and such like that. Now, when it comes to the big trucks, those are called something else. They're called CVTs and stuff like that. I don't want to get into it too much, but that's like the basics of it, right? Our job is to sort these packages that go to certain areas and make sure they go through the appropriate route. It sounds complicating, but it's really not. It's just, you're kind of like organizing the packages in a way. But what makes it hard, though, is things that are outside control, first off, like the corporation stuff. I remember at one point they did cut off the minimum hours, meaning, so the minimum hours were designed for the students, right, who have to focus on their work, their schoolwork, all that stuff. So they might only come in for like an hour or something, or a couple of hours. And FedEx at one point offered a minimum payment, meaning they will pay them a certain amount even if they only work for like an hour or two, which I guess at some point extended to just everybody else who's kind of in that situation, whether they work at a different job, all that stuff, right? Whatever reason they come from. But at some point, FedEx decided to cut that off. It just, because of course, to reduce costs, as all the other companies are doing over the years, especially during the COVID years and of course the post-COVID years, cutting costs in this day and age of our lovely economy and such like that. But ever since then, we lost a lot of good people, and comes in a bunch of mixed sorts. And obviously I'm not gonna name people or anything like that, but you know, it's the typical like work life when you're at a job, you work your ass off, and you just see people on the phones or just lazy, like just apathetic, don't give a fuck. They only pretend to give a fuck, just enough for the manager to to be pleased, I guess, or whoever you're trying to please. And then once they turn their back, they go back on their phone. They just neglect and stuff like that. There are just people in this facility that I worked at that have just been so obvious, right? It's so clear that they don't give a fuck. And sometimes leadership does not do enough to get them going. And sometimes, in fact, the hard workers got more of the yelling at times than they did. And that stuff like that has what got me like frustrated over time. It just made things hectic and frustrating at times. So it's like not only, of course, things that are out of your control, like the corporation stuff, right? And there are other factors too. Sometimes like the weather, the holiday stuff, trends, and stuff like that, or down trends, if that makes sense. Like whenever stuff gets unpopular, you get less work, technically. I mean, is it such a direct effect on our work? We don't know. I mean, there are a lot of factors at times. But either way, there were people that were making things frustrating for this type of work. And it actually got worse in a way at one point after I came back from my vacation, which was this most recent vacation. It was I was gone for 2 weeks. One of those weeks I went to Evo this year, 2025. I made a big video about that, extended breakdown and everything. And, you know, I had a good time and everything, but coming back to work was probably like, in retrospect, one of the worst things I've had to experience in that time frame. And I like kind of came to realize that it actually started to take a toll on me in some way, like mental, emotional, physical. I kind of don't care as much, but yes, that's just as important. Like, yeah, my feet hurt, but whatever. Physical pain is something I can definitely put up with more than the emotional stuff, the psycho, right? Like, here is what's important to me anyway. Obviously, there are people who take their physical health more, and you know what? Hey, I mean, I get it. You know, I'm not gonna judge on that. But man, it was starting to get to me, and I realized this, and I also realized how much this was going to go on, how much longer this was going to go on, especially with under this leadership and such like that. And obviously, I'm not, you know, trying to lump everyone into this certain group or anything like that. It's really a couple of people that's just kind of like rubbing the wrong way. But for the most part, the facility I worked at, or the work site I worked at, most of the people I worked with were friendly. I got along with them pretty well, especially the couple of few, right, that I work with like longer, right? So whenever we work at the nights, right, the night part of the shift, because I usually work more like the evening shift and more towards the night portion. That's where I get to hang out with the those kinds of workers, and that's was a little more pleasant, I would say. But overall, I think there was a point where I had to do something about it, right? Like I need to see if I can change this in some way. Especially having to come home pretty much almost every day, just exhausted, tired from the again the emotional and mental state, right? And it actually affected me to the point where, like, I know of course my sleep schedule is also like pretty bad, but that's the least of it. I would say, because I can fix that. Only if I actually commit to it. Anyway, the the mental state, all that stuff, took to, got hit by all this stuff to the point where I actually was falling asleep at some points of my streams. I always try to live stream certain games as a means to sort of like distract myself, right, from my daily exhaustion, my daily work, and all that stuff, whenever I can, of course. I do other things as a means to try to just vent out my frustrations, whatever, right? The steam you accumulate. And so I try to let off some steam through those sort of activities or just hobbies and stuff like that. And sometimes, yeah, I just chill, watch YouTube stuff. That's about it, right? But when I'm streaming, of course, there were times where I was falling asleep, and there might have been a point where my face cam was on, and I just full on fell asleep for like a good 5 minutes or something. But especially when I had no face cam, that probably went on at like most 10 minutes. You could try to challenge yourself and skim through my streams and find those moments. And most likely those moments came from said frustrations, mental health, mental toll, that situation. Well, before, to be fair, that's more towards my sleep schedule. But that was all before. But it just definitely got amplified after my vacation, me coming back and stuff like that. It's like, man, it is frustrating that of itself, because it's like, man, I had a good time, I had a good vacation, relaxed, no complaints at all. But then you just instantly come back to this mess, and there's just a lot of yelling, micromanagement, and like other things that just haven't taken me off, along with the rest of the coworkers. And, of course, I'm not alone in this. I am not alone. We all kind of share a common incentive, or a common consensus in a way. Excuse me. So all that wanted me, or made me want to do something about it, because I was not going to put up with that for a longer time. I said hell no to myself. So a coworker who I now used to work with quite extensively, we're pretty good buddies, and he wanted to help me out. And so at one point we did work together in the same sort of section, but then the FedEx started to cut hours at our facility, so it was a little harder and harder for people like him to help me out with the night stuff. And then came to a point where, because this coworker knows a lot, like he's been there for a long time, really good guy. He's very smart. Um, he has very strong opinions, let's just say. But I respect them because of the way he goes about them. Like, he doesn't like force them onto other people and stuff like that. He's a very respectable person. For point being. Anyways, he knows a lot, and he kind of like out of all of us, right? He's like the guy who knows the ins and outs of these things, right? So the managers really tried to push him everywhere, and came to a point he was starting to not have it anymore. He was getting tired of it, and I get it. I totally get it. And so he started to work in the office. He got a position in the office, and so ever since then, I think that's what kind of like shifted that anger, that the focus onto more people like me, and that's where it started to. I think it started to get worse, especially by the time I came back from vacation. But anyways, he found a job role that might have been perfect for me, and I said, you know what, let's go for it. I applied for a internal transfer, which basically means I can change my job role, but I'm still with the company. So it's not really quitting, but I'm definitely like quitting that facility that I work at, or at least quit that area, to so to say, whether it be just that section in that facility or the entire facility, and I go to a different work site. In this case, this place that I applied for was actually closer to my home, and so from what the coworker told me, this job role was supposedly like easier, it's just stupid easy, just all you have to do is just do the job. It's nothing physical. It's like in the office. It's just simple stuff in comparison to what I've been doing, right? Especially on the physical side. I just said fuck it. I'm gonna do it. So I went for it, and I would say a week at minimum, 2 weeks at most later, that the hiring manager or whoever, right, from the upcoming new facility that I'm going to contacted me through their recruiter, of course, their recruiter manager, the recruiter person, the recruiting agent contacted me to respond to my application, just to ask, hey, am I still interested? And I said yes. And so then they contacted my manager of the old facility now, just to let them know. And the manager asked me, am I still interested in that job position? And I said yes. And then she kind of was like, oh no, now we have another person leaving. And I'm like, yeah, it's an opportunity though that I had to take. So she reluctantly accepted. She replied, yes, he's still interested. So then, funny enough, she went on vacation, and a week went by of work, and then right as she came back, the acceptance letter came, the enrollment letter came. I immediately signed it, and that letter had a start date already, which apparently, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it works really, but basically, my manager and the rest of the leadership didn't like that. Although maybe one exception, there might have been one person in the leadership that didn't care too much. He's like usually a chill guy, but anyway, my manager tried to see if she can change that, but unfortunately, by the time she knew, and then she tried to reach to her, the recruiter, I think it was already too late. Like because I already signed the letter before even like knowing like what usually happens, but there might have been something that the managers didn't know. So I don't know. It's just that in itself was very confusing. Like it was actually unusual that the time between me saying yes, I'm interested, them responding, and then getting the actual letter happened so fast, and getting the start date, new start date, was so fast that a lot of the coworkers were like, dude, you're like lucky that you're able to get this so quickly, like that. Especially with what's coming up for FedEx, which is peak season, right? So peak season basically means the holidays, right? Like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, even, but mostly like Christmas, Cyber Mondays, Black Friday stuff. That's usually when it gets really busy for a lot of these places, right? Including Amazon, FedEx, UPS, you name it. And especially for us, I've been through enough holidays already, like ever since 2023, and it it can be hectic. That of itself can be super hectic, but this time I'm able to avoid that because, well, in a way, but because of this whole timing, it was just so impeccable that even my managers were just like, were pretty dumbfounded. So, funny enough, today was my last day with that facility. All in this, by the way, this all happened in the span of the same week. So all in the same exact week as of this recording, I got the letter, they accepted, they gave me the date. The managers were like, "What?" And then just like the last day, like just like that, like it was so fast. Because usually when people were transferring for like the more simpler jobs, well when I say simple, like if you're like applying for a package handler, which is like the one of the most basic ones, which is like also like the entry level pay and stuff like that. So those actually usually take longer, right? Because I remember I had another coworker transferred, right, but she had to wait for like an entire month before the transfer actually happened, whereas I had just had to wait technically at most 2 weeks. So it's like, wow, and that's like, of course, twice the speed, right? It's crazy. It's so crazy to like look back on that now, and so like, yeah, like again, my coworkers were just like, wow, So after all that, like I said, today as of this recording, was my last day, and so I had to do the hardest part, which is to say goodbye to them, because a lot of them were really cool, especially like people around my age, or younger, were really cool about it, and of course, a number of them said, it's not gonna be the same without you, right, and all that stuff, and I just like, damn, that's tough. It is always the toughest thing, for these sort of situations, like whether you're transferring or quitting. I've always been guilty of like holding off on those types of situations because of that part, like oh, the people like you, or like the facility or the workplace really likes you there, and then at some point you become one of the key players, one of the hardest workers, the one of the most reliable people that depend on the most. But a lot of these situations, though, a lot of these work or a lot of these jobs, the most capable usually are the ones who go the soonest, because of course they are always are hungry for something new. They want to move up in the world, right? They want to have a better pay. They want to have an easier life, right? And I understand that is something normal. That should be, looked at as normal, of course. You have to treat yourself first and foremost. Like I said, you are the most important person to yourself or for yourself. Sometimes, yes, it is hard to get this opportunity because you have to sacrifice your coworkers, this place that you're so comfortable with. A lot of people like you, yes, but especially when you have to put up with things, when you have to put up with a certain something, right? That thorn on your side that you have to put up with for a long time or a good while. It does become a little more complicated, and you have to at one point ask yourself, is it all worth it? You know, are you willing to put up with X to get Y? That's kind of like the types of questions you ask yourself. Take the time to weigh these things and come to a decision. You have to make a choice. But no matter what, whenever you try to get these better opportunities, you have to pay a price of some kind. And yes, in this case, for me, yes, I have to leave this facility that I was pretty comfortable with for a good while. And, the people there were really cool. But, the coworkers, of course. But there are things I would have to continue to put up with. And those things were not overall worth it for me. I was not willing to put up with those negatives for that much longer. Especially now that the newer facility that's closer to me have the doors wide open for me. They're expecting me to come in on Monday. They're ready for me. They're closer to the place, or they're closer to my house, and they're gonna pay me better. How could I say no to that? And from what the general consensus that I've been getting from my coworkers about whether this work site is better or not, they've been saying yes, it is better. It's smaller. I have less stuff to deal with, and the new role that I'm going to be in it's going to be easier, like in more ways than one. And yet they're going to pay you more. It's like I got so lucky, and that's what a lot of people have been saying to me at work. I got very lucky. Like how could I not accept this opportunity? And even the managers know that, but one of them was kind of frustrated, but reluctantly accepted. And you know what? At least they were pretty respectable at the end. At least one of them anyway. And then, of course, everybody else was very, very heartwarming about it. And I will miss those people. I really do. I will miss them a lot. In some ways, I will miss the place itself a lot because it's my first one. Of course, it's that kind of feeling. It's that sort of situation. But overall, though, I think this will be really good for me when it comes to the work life. So I believe I will be in good hands, and hopefully that the my former work site will be in decent hands. I don't know who's going to replace me over there, but I will believe, I would want to believe that they'll keep the lights on. I guess what's one way to put it. Whatever's coming up for me, I confidently feel that will be for the better. So the only catch, at least my personal catch, I guess, is that I have to adjust my schedule. That's about it. So my sleep schedule will take a hit, but I think for the most part, I think it will now be better because now I have an excuse, a really hard excuse to start changing my sleep schedule. And it's not even by a lot. It's like 2 hours or something. So yeah, like I'm still gonna be like up relatively late. I will have to make some change one way or the other. So that's pretty much the gist of like my work life, or aka my real life stuff. So that was like the most significant thing that was just like happening. It was like even looking back on it very much recently or now, it felt like just bam. Like I don't know how lucky I got with this. And you know what? When I drove back home after saying goodbye and everything to that facility and the people in it, like I had that that feeling, right? You just want to blast that certain soundtrack of your life and like have that nice peaceful drive home. You know what I mean? And you can, of course, you can pick your own track or whatever you want. But yeah, I just thought it was just kind of like funny of how it all like played out. And I always try to like expect the worst. So the worst possibility that could have happened was like one of the managers could have just said no, like you're not going anywhere, you're staying here, I'm going to change the date and everything, which yes, they tried to, one of them tried to do, but it was unsuccessful. So I mean, I kind of figured that it wasn't going to like change, because it was already in the system. Because usually what could have happened was if I didn't sign that letter immediately, they would have just been like, hold off, don't sign it yet. We'll call them and stuff like that. But it was already too late. But it's I don't know. I think what I did though was right within the process anyway. So I think it was just something that the managers didn't know because they're relatively new anyways. So as managers, so I think it was just a case of them not knowing everything, and so they just kind of just got caught by surprise or something. I don't know. Maybe they got blindsided. But what kind of sucks though, because of the circumstances right now, that facility is a little thin on workers, so they're gonna have to really spread themselves thin, unfortunately. But you know what? I peaced out pretty much. But my coworkers were like, "Yeah, we get it. We're happy for you. We're gonna miss you. It's going to be really hard to replace you. All that stuff." And I just felt that warmth. I'm like, "Oh man, like I really do appreciate it. You guys were awesome. It was a pleasure to work with you guys." Unfortunately, there were some people that were on vacation, so I'm gonna have to like I'm gonna have to miss them completely, unfortunately. And so yeah, but these things pretty much are gonna happen. So again, that's kind of like the most significant thing that happened to me as of late, and I'm just like so happy at this point on that part. So whatever like bad things happen in the gotcha game, I just don't care for right now. I have that sort of mechanism, or I have that shield of like, hey, at least things at work are great now because now I can get to just not deal with that stuff anymore. I don't even have to like do that role anymore because I can only go up. So so a little more of a sidetrack here, and I apologize if this portion is already long enough, but the new place I'm going to that's closer to me is rumored for right now that it's going to shut down at one point because it's so old, it's small. They close on the weekends now, so it was kind of, and then of course the staffing at one point made, I guess, these rumors that were involving like shutting down the place. So let's say like yes, it does shut down while I'm there. It's not like even if I do have to go back there, I don't have to go to that same exact role anymore. I don't have to fucking be in that sweatshop of a fucking area whenever the summers were rolling around. Oh my goodness, the summer in that place, nuh-uh. Like it was bad. It gets sweaty, it gets hot, sticky. Like it's a sweatshop in there, man. But I don't have to deal with that anymore. Oh my God, yes. Like the more I think about it, the more happy I'm like getting, just more relief I'm feeling. It's like this huge weight is now off of my shoulders, man. So, especially with this video right now, like I'm just like really feeling it, and so I'm really, 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 really feeling it. So, man, what a time right now. What a time. And yeah, like just again thinking about all the good things that are like lining up, how it all happened. It's just like, damn, I'm so lucky. Okay, so that's that for that part. So now let's all head towards the gaming part. Hopefully this part will be a little quicker because it's like, all right, a little more or less the same-ish depending on who you are, and how long you've been following my channel for. All right, so now that's been out of the way for the most part. I know there's like probably smaller details that I'll probably like share at one point throughout the video, but whatever. For the most part though, I'm out of that mess. I am out of that mess no matter how I look at it. Because again, even if I go back there, I can only go up. So I am going to be not in that area. I'm going to be in the office no matter where I go. So, at least hopefully, because I haven't done the job yet just to see what it's like. But I think it will be better. Anyways, now let's talk about gaming. Right? One of the main parts of this channel. So, when it comes to me and gaming, I've been playing a lot of Uma Musume. And this game has been taking me to this quite like a rabbit hole, like another interest on this channel. But I'll get to that later. But Uma Musume, as I play it more and more, has been treating me, I would say, in a particular way, or peculiar way, I should say. But for the most part, it's been treating me pretty well. And man, I hope my stomach is not being picked up on the mic. But anyway, it's been taking me to this rabbit hole of this whole horse racing phenomenon in Japan. I've learned a lot of things, a lot of the terminology, a lot of the stories, especially thanks to how Uma Musume is handled, right, with each of the characters. Because what the game does is they craft these stories a lot based off of the real horses and their stories. So it's a reflection of the real horses many more ways than one. They're not just taking a name, making these great cute girls and trying to sell you, right? They're actually like putting a lot of thought into these designs as they go along. Well, yes, with the with fan service in mind, of course, but they are actually paying attention to a lot of these details that are based off of the real horses that they're named after. So, for example, Harurara is a horse that pretty much has had a very long losing streak. In fact, I don't think it won any of the races. Harurara has always been this horse that a lot of people looked at as, like the hard worker, the people's champ, always cheering on, even if that horse lost most of the time. That horse became so popular, in fact, that they just went out to go see the horse, right? Race for the sake of it. Not just win, but just to see it. And it came to a point where Harurara raced at this track that was supposedly going to get shut down, but then so many people came to watch Harurara that this very racetrack got revived in a way. So stories like that, there's many more amazing stories with each horse that I'm just like very appreciative of that because it's such a great learning way to go through, right? If you're interested with horses, of course, or racing horses, this is a way to do it, right? To kind of like have that stepping stone, and then and then of course there's the American horses, there's the European horses, right? But Uma Musume, of course, focuses for the most part on the Japanese racing horses, which that of itself has been quite the ride thus far. Plenty of great characters to love. There is a favorite horse for everybody. I have mine, and it is now that it's reached to global lengths. Now more people understand the appeal of this game, and so do I, since I've only watched the anime, of course, and I can only like it from there. But now that I play the game, it's like it really definitely does open a lot more doors, which I do appreciate. So this whole rabbit hole has been like really really been fun for the most part. When it comes to grinding and stuff like that, it does become a nightmare in a way, especially if you want to specifically build a certain Uma Musume for a specific race, and so you want specific abilities inherited into the Uma Musume you're training. It really does become a nightmare. But the overall mythos, the overall appeal, the overall sort of structure in the game of itself with these colorful characters, the diversity of the roster and everything, thus far at least, really does incentivize me to stay along. And of course, there's the soundtrack, right? It's really cool. Although strange because it's like side games that, the developers of this game kind of like shoehorned it in because they were trying to make Idolmaster at one point, but then Idolmaster kind of went to Bandai at one point after some stuff happening, I guess. So they wanted their own sort of idol game at one point, so somehow Uma Musume became that idol game for them. And it kind of is more ways than one. It's not just about the singing, but it's like these girls are kind of like treated like that, like these stars in a way. And so it's just fascinating of how it all played out. Like you can literally see the beginning of the game, how it was being developed in a way, all the way up to this point. And it's been such a phenomenon, especially it came out on global. It just like broke a second wall, man. Not just broke it, but like just boom, just crushed it, explode, Hulk smash, and everything. It's just amazing, and I'm here for it. And coming up is just free polls every day until up a certain point. That's coming up soon, so I'm definitely looking forward to it because there's this specific banner, for those who know, that you should definitely pull on because there's going to be a new scenario for you to train in, and it kind of requires you, if you want a good time, to pull for a certain card. So if you want to have a better time with this new scenario, you want to have a specific deck, which asks, of course, for a certain card, which is why, yes, the gacha does come in. The gacha of itself is kind of a hell, which you can kind of see with my video as of recent. Anyway, but side games have been generous enough to offer free polls for their half anniversary, which actually has not been done before, apparently. So this is pretty big, and so us global players are going to have it pretty easy because we are now able to poll on that specific banner that's coming up, and therefore most of us should have the necessary cards to have a good time in that new scenario. But who is to say how is it gonna roll out for the rest of the scenarios? Are they gonna do the same thing there? I don't know. I definitely can't say, because even for veteran players, they didn't see this coming. So it's just like, whoa, kind of a out of left field kind of thing. So, anyways, Uma Musume has been pretty cool for me anyway. Having that said, I do still play the Hoyo games, so doing dailies has been interesting because it's like I'm technically doing dailies for like 4 games. That's quite a lot for me anyway. I know there's probably people who do more dailies, but they don't. They don't have a life anyway. I'm being silly. I'm kidding. But anyway, I still play the Hoyo games, so I do play Genshin still, but I would like to note that though with that game, I've been kind of like feeling more and more apathetic, slowly but surely. So I'm only like kind of there for the story. I feel like mentally anyway. And when it comes to point for characters in Genshin, I'm really caring all at this point for Durin, Columbina, and Sandrone. Allegedly. Well, we know that Columbina is going to come up, but allegedly Sandrone is going to be very powerful. So, anyways, that's really all I care for this version. So, that's kind of like how I feel with Genshin right now. It's just like I haven't been able to catch up on the story like concisely, or whatever you want to call it. Like I haven't been able to really like put in the effort into catching up with the story. But now that work is going to be a little different, maybe that'll change. We'll see. Maybe I'll have more energy to play these games. Anyway, Star Rail though, I am chugging along. I'm caught up with the story. So I'm definitely ready for the upcoming story that's coming. That is also going to come with a new character. It's going to be very powerful. So I'm going to try to pull for her, but I did just try to pull. I did pull for Evernight, so that kind of like costed me quite a bit. But we'll see. I do want Alicia because her stuff looks really cool. At first though, I have to admit that I was like, nah. But now that I saw her stuff, I'm like, oh boy, of course, the animations are awesome. Anyways, that's gonna happen. I'm gonna try, but we'll see. ZZZ, I feel like it's been treating me the best of the 3 Hoyo games. ZZZ is still kind of really been hitting all the notes for me, at least most notes anyway. Although I do plan to take a break from polling until Dial-In and Banyue come up. So, because I kind of like weighed the options. I'm like, do I really need Yodari? Do I really need Lucia? And of those 2 characters, Lucia would have made the most sense because I have Yishuan, and Lucia would have worked with Yishuan really well in comparison. Yodari is kind of just like an attack unit overall. I know she's Rupture, but she's that DPS unit. And I'm just like, where is she really going to be in my team? And so it would have been more of like a meme pull than anything, because yes, her attacks are very erotic, like very reminiscent of like Bayonetta, or like those types of characters, right? Like the erotic fan servicey types of women. Yodari is that, especially with the tentacles. It really adds to that. So yeah, pulling for her would have been more of a meme to me than anything, because like, I mean, I don't hate the character, but she's not like a the newer kids say, my Oshi. you know, I know I have a friend that's like really into her, but yeah, I'm not into her like I am. I'm not into her like he is to her, right? Is what I'm trying to say. And I initially wanted to pull because it was just kind of just like, yeah, it's a tentacle girl, right? But now that there are other units that actually may be worth pulling more, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna spread myself thin. So that's gonna not gonna be ideal. So overall, I'm gonna be skipping on two of those characters, which is Lucia and Idari, and instead I am gonna pull for Dialin and Banyue, who are from Krampus, for those who know. So Banyue, oh man, he does look really cool. So that's why if I'm gonna pull for him, then I should pull for Dialin. So that's why I'm holding off from pulling Lucia and Yodari. So ideally, I should be able to be fine with Dialin and Banyue when it comes to pulling for them. When it comes to the free to play Chrome and everything. And yes, I still have one more top up bonus to burn. So I do have that on my side. I will try to pull for Dialin by herself. And then when it comes to Banyue, I will try to pull for him and his engine as well. Because he's the DPS unit of the two. So there is that when it comes to ZZZ. Now, when it comes to games that I do want to play soon, that is Pokemon ZA. Pokemon Legends ZA, or ZNA, I don't know. I think it is ZA, but anyway, some people call it ZA for the meme of it. But speaking of memes, yes, there is the whole thing about Mega Starmie. Oh my god, I've been seeing a lot of the memes. At least they're funny, so I can get behind that. But that design is just ass. I'm sorry, like some people are starting to grow to like it, but for me, it's so stupid. Like who actually thought that was a cool design? Somebody actually said, "This is it," in that room. So that's like such a slap in the face for those I feel that are like hardcore fans of Starmie. It's like, yes, we finally get Starmie with the Mega Form and whatever, and it's that. It's just Starmie with longer legs. Like, come on, man. When it comes to Feraligatr, like I can kind of get more behind that because it's supposed to be like a bigger head, and then the hands are like the bottom jaw. So it's like, okay, it's a little more creative. I can get behind that more. I can respect them more. But Starmie with longer legs, come on. That's a meme right there, dude. Like, what the fuck? Anyways, I do want to play the game soon so that I can actually really get the Switch 2 going, right? Because I do have a Switch 2. It's kind of just sitting there, but now I have Pokemon, so I can definitely try to play that whenever I can. But there are other things I do want to take care in the meanwhile, though, before I get to Pokemon real soon. Battlefield, I was initially excited for it, but something like just kind of maybe said, nah, I'll wait. I think I don't know if my friends are playing it or not. I think only one person was playing it, but even if I do, it would have to be on the PlayStation because the way my PC is set up and Battlefield is set up, the security thing did not allow me to play on PC. So that's why I went to the PlayStation to just bypass it and just say fuck it. I'll be a console player for this time, you know, and that's pretty much that. When it comes to games to look forward to, I have just a couple here or several. This is just like a sample plate. But I'll just name off these games off the list I wrote here. For the games I am looking forward to is Metroid Prime 4, of course. That's coming in December, so it's not too far. But the two other games are kind of like, funny enough. Well, actually, no, three in a way. Funny enough, they're all kind of like competing with each other in a way because first off, it's Ananta. I do think Ananta has a potential to be really, really cool. Besides the fact that it like rips off blatantly with these game mechanics, right? With the driving, the GTA stuff, the Spider-Man stuff, or more specifically Venom, and like the Sleeping Dogs combat, that's kind of all melding together to something for me to be very interested. Funny enough, and that game, for being free to play and stuff like that, is not gonna have gacha and this landscape of gacha games. So it's like, wow, that's really cool. So I'll definitely give it a shot, at least because it's free to play. So why not? But and there is another game that's also kind of like a GTA anime clone or whatever, called Neverness to Everness, which is also a unique title because Ananta actually means infinite in Indian, I believe. Which, funny enough, initially it was called Project Mugen because Mugen is actually like also infinite in Japanese. Kind of a funny little thing going on there, I guess. Neverness to Everness, though, does have its distinguishing things to set itself apart from Ananta. But beyond that, yes, it's going to be another gacha game, with polling and everything, I think. But it will have combat involving with like something that's kind of reminiscent to, I would say, God, what was that game from Ubisoft? It was involving with the yokai ghosts, and you do a lot of these, right, to fight them. I forgot what it was called. God damn it! But anyways, yeah, you're gonna be fighting ghosts and stuff like that, like these yokai like creatures. In the upside down world, whatever it's called. But the cars, the city life kind of stuff looks really cool too. But although I would say Ananta does look prettier of the two, but we'll see who comes out on top of the two anyway when it comes to anime GTA clones. But speaking of GTA, I'm also looking forward to GTA 6, of course, because of course it's GTA. But so funny that, what if these two games come out before GTA 6? I forget when GTA 6 comes out. Like, is it next year? Is it next year? I forget. But another game that's coming out, though, next year for sure is Wolverine. That's also a game I'm definitely looking forward to as well. It looks cool. Like, that's all I can say. It's sick. It's Wolverine. And it actually looks cool. So I'm like, okay, wow. This is probably like more my alley. So that's essentially it for that, for games. So definitely some stuff coming up when it comes to that for sure, for me anyway, or at least hopefully anyway, especially with Pokemon, because at the end of the day, I'm still a Pokemon fan. It's just that it's been kind of hard for me to like actually put down the time to play this game or that game, like especially with Ghost of Yotei. Like, I played that for a little bit, for like maybe like the first 4 hours, and then I haven't played it since because other things, life, including my transfer and stuff like that. Anyways, next up for the video anyway is my car detailing stuff, because that's been now becoming like a major part of the channel. So this car detailing rabbit hole that I've been putting myself into actually has been treating me pretty well. I've been having a lot of fun with it. It kind of like is my zen, right? Like, whenever I do wash my car, or anyone's car, really, it takes me to that sort of that zen zone almost, if that makes sense. I don't know, it just feels good to clean a car for some reason. And this rabbit hole, in fact, though, had me spending quite a bit of money. I mean, even though I don't really want to say specifically, it's a little over 10K within the last 2 years. Anyway, that's how much I've been spending. Rough guesstimation, but yeah, nonetheless. But yeah, to be fair though, it has been at least 2 years since that deep dive, the beginning of it. But also, to be fair, I've been like on and off interested with washing cars, especially when my dad was around. I think I got it from him because he used to do that quite a bit with the waxing and everything. God, those old waxes were just ass though, because they're just so hard to take off. Man, buffing off was just a pain in the ass. But anyway, technology helped out since, so a lot of things have been super easy and super fun, but also at the same time it's like you can kind of get that FOMO, like, oh man, like I want to try it out and stuff, and then you buy it and that's more money spent. But this is something a little more unrelated, but it kind of is because it involves with my garage, so kind of a funny story behind this one. So I guess I'll make a little pseudo riddle for you guys for you to guess. So it basically involves with something that's there, but you don't really think about it. Can anyone take a guess? It's the floor. So there have been a few people pointing it out throughout my video, some of my videos, and especially with the what was it, the Superior Products Cherry Foam versus Meguiar's Hyperwash video. A number of people have been saying like, oh, you should get rid of the floor tile or something, but they didn't really like specifically say why, other than, oh, it's just harmful. I'm like, oh, okay. But then one of the very recent ones, just straight up said, hey, those floor tiles are asbestos. And I'm like, what? So I actually looked it up myself. So I basically looked up asbestos tiles. And lo and behold, the images in Google showed a very exact color and look and everything of those tiles. I'm like, oh shit. So you're telling me that me and my family have been walking on this asbestos tiles for 30 plus years without even knowing it. And, and I told my mom about it, and she was just flabbergasted, like, what the hell? So, but she knew that the garage was used as a room at some point. And this house was built in the 50s, so it's pretty old. And so the garage, though, was kind of converted into like a room by one of the previous homeowners. My neighbor told us about that at one point. And so at one point during the 70s, of course, when asbestos was pretty popular, right, was used as the floor tiles. And of course, asbestos tiles has been used for like the school buildings, office buildings throughout the 70s and whatever, right? Not just here, of course, but yeah. That's been, though, of course, long banned at one point. I think like during like the 80s or 90s or something like that, like late 80s, early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Feel free to do so. But anyway, that garage was at one point a room for somebody, which is why sometimes you kind of see like little bits of like wallpaper, so you might be like, wait, what's up with this garage? Like, why is that there? That's kind of why. So at one point though, when my parents came in, it became a garage again. So that's why I kind of like, yeah, So we had somebody check it out, and yes, they were able to confirm, like, yes, this is asbestos. We got to get it out of here. And especially now that they know, they have to get it out because that's the rules. That's the law, I guess. We can't say no anymore. They have to get it out, and of course that's going to cost us. But it's asbestos, man. That shit causes cancer if you're not careful with it, right? It's more, but although if you have just asbestos tiles, that's not gonna do much. But if you have in the walls, the roof, all that stuff, then of course, yes, because that's coming down, dust and everything. You breathe it into your lungs, you get lung cancer, and that's why I believe at one point there were a lot of commercials, right? Oh, if you're affected by if you're working in this building, you may have a chance of have cancer due to asbestos or something, or if you have cancer, blah blah blah.
Attention! If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure.
That sort of stuff. Those lawsuits, right? Those lawyers were popping left and right about asbestos at one point. I remember those commercials as a kid. And so all that kind of like hit me. I'm like, wow. Just that stuff, man, those green tiles, I just never knew. I just never knew until random commenters came by and said, oh, hey, by the way, that's kind of the internet for you, I guess, right? So who knows, like, what would have happened if we just let it be, But yeah, so at one point, that will be something for us to deal with, of course. They're kind of like, we're waiting on the next proceeding. So at one point, though, we have to sweep the garage clean. Not literally like with a sweeper or anything, but we have to take out the stuff out of the garage and just lay it in the backyard, and hope to God it doesn't rain, because especially for me, I have all that detailing stuff, so I hope to God that nothing happens to it, So hopefully that can all go smoothly, because otherwise we need those like plastic tarps and everything to make sure that nothing happens to them. So hopefully we can get those tiles out and clean out that flooring, and that's it. That's all there is to it, hopefully. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the garage. Not just my stuff, but other stuff too. So my detailing videos are gonna be on the pause at one point. So it's gonna be pretty interesting for me to try to get around potentially. Well, we'll see about that. But let me see. But meanwhile, let's put the tiles aside. I'm still getting new stuff, funny enough. I actually bought myself a new tool basically to compare it to another tool. Hint, hint, it's a foam sprayer. So I want to compare one foam sprayer to another, especially with another expensive one, and see how that goes. It'll be pretty fun, I think. Standing back and like really see the community on YouTube, I just really didn't think that there would be such a pretty active community with car detailing. Because like at one point, because I had a certain ceramic product in hand, I went on the internet, on YouTube, and looked up on this product, right? It was Turtle Wax, the ceramic spray sealant. And I found people like Pandy Organizer, and then that's where the whole rabbit hole sort of like super began for sure. So you could say Turtle Wax kind of did it, right? And I did not think it would be this big or active. But I also just learned that there is a community for like everything pretty much you can think of. Power tools, home improvement, of course car detailing, soft washing, like just house, like home gardening, of course, and then of course like sound systems, of course car modding and engines, and mechanics and everything. That's also where I found like Scott Kilmer beforehand. I fell into the Scott Kilmer rabbit hole at one point. I stopped watching his videos because I don't know, it just kind of fell out of the algorithm, so I just kind of stopped after that. And Like, of course, gaming communities, that's a whole nother thing too. There's communities for specific games. There's the fighting game community, but I just did not think there'd be a community for car detailing. But I should have known. I should have known. If there is an interest for it, there is going to be a community for it. So I thought it was very fascinating of how it all played out. So, just seeing that, standing back on it, I'm like, dang. But you know what? Again, I'm here for it. Meanwhile, my mom got a new car, which is a Mini Cooper 2025. It's just a Mini Cooper. I don't think it's a Mini Cooper S or anything like that. And funny enough, it's most likely going to be her last car, which is kind of like interesting to think about. And one of the cool things about that car is that it's black. So that means when you foam on something, you can really see it. So it's gonna actually show up on videos really well. So I'm gonna plan to try to like do some cool beauty shots later on, or B-roll. So that's going to be pretty fun for me to kind of play around with, especially when I try to get my hands on a different camera. Most likely going to be a DJI camera, but we'll see. But yeah, the fact that it's black, that's already like, yes, I already did one video with it, which is like, the polishing, ceramic coating, of course, before that, washing and deconning and everything. Man, but that car came out like pretty good, all things considered, though, because that shit got swirled up at the dealership. And so, using my first cordless polisher with the one-step polish and everything, with the one-step pad, did a good number on that marring, man. It was awesome. It was awesome. Ceramic coat that bitch, and then yeah, man, it's awesome. The car feels slick. I haven't taken it out for a wash, but because it's garage most of the time, so there's less need to wash it. But man, when you try to run your hand through it and stuff like that, like it's smooth, pretty smooth. But yeah, that's essentially it for the detailing stuff. There is a couple other things I do want to mention before I start wrapping things up. So this is like the other stuff, the other stuff that has to do with the channel that I do want to mention. So, meanwhile, Hypecast is now essentially been converted into like just like a live stream series. So I used to like live stream and then like upload a separate video for it, just so like I guess it helps with the algorithm potentially, but overall, it really doesn't do much. So I rather just make it just like a live stream event rather than like just like a video thing, if that makes sense. We used to actually stream a lot on Twitch, funny enough, but because of how Twitch has been doing throughout its recent years, like morally, I felt like it was just wrong to stream on Twitch, personally. And you can kind of see with multiple streamers, they've been like multi-streaming, not just on Twitch, but on Kick and YouTube and everything, but mostly like YouTube and Twitch combinations. So that kind of tells me, right, like just Twitch ain't it anymore. And especially with the whole sexual assault thing with Emiru, like yeah, that's just one more thing on the list for Twitch. They have a huge shit list, and they're not doing much about it. Now it's like starting to really bite them in the ass. So let's see if they want to do something about it. We'll have to see. But anyways, because of that, we just went on to YouTube, and at that point, to me, it just made a lot of sense to just have it just be a live stream event that we do weekly. All every Saturday at around 8 o'clock, pretty much. 7:30 sometimes, but 8 o'clock, and that's that. So no more of the re-upload the video of the entire VOD. The most I'll do is just like try to highlight something and then make that into like a clip or something. But that's about it. But speaking of editing, sorry, well, actually, before I get into that, just to make throw this out there, December will be our sort of vacation month for the most part, because my co-host Zuardo or Zawa usually goes to Florida for family reasons, so he stays there for the entire month. So that's why we kind of like just kind of use that as like a big break thing, so that we can do our thing. And so that's going to be our big break month or vacation month. Well, vacation. It's not like we get paid or anything, but anyway. Or we do it for the fun. It's not, it's just. I mean, yeah, the viewership would be nice, of course. Don't get me wrong, but we do it just for the fun of it. Like, it's just fun for us to talk stuff, right, about gaming and whatever we like, especially with ZZZ. But yeah, so that would be that as of going forward. And then, but yeah, December will be a long break, and then we'll get back to it in January. But speaking of editing, that I was trying to say here, I got a new computer. My Mac, I switched over to a Mac Mini that's like newest, and so it has the M4 chip and everything. You can kind of name it. I'll pull it up. In fact, on here, yeah. So it's the M4 Pro, 24 gig RAM memory, and yeah. So it's been treating me really well, since I got it. Like editing has been a lot easier, especially once I convert all my storage into SSDs. It's going to be smooth sailing for sure. Smooth. But yeah, it's been treating me pretty well. Next up, another thing I wanted to randomly bring up is Evo 2026 will be a thing for the most part. The issue, I guess, right now is that yes, we're still discussing like where we're gonna stay, but I think we're gonna stay in an Airbnb for the most part. And I know I say that for the most part for like a lot, but mostly we've been deciding on an Airbnb nearby the convention center in Las Vegas. But it is going to be interesting potentially though, because of the whole like Qiddiya or the Saudi Arabia stuff that's been happening throughout, just not just Evo, of course, but like gaming and entertainment stuff too. SA has been trying to really buy up a lot of things to like diversify, if that's really the word for it. But nonetheless, we will come together and celebrate our sort of common love for video games and fighting games, especially, in our friendship, I guess you could say, as cheesy as that sounds. But yeah, 2026 will be a thing with Evo, hopefully. Well, it's more like I am wanting to go now that I'm, for the most part, comfortable going to Evo again, since I went to 2025. But although, funny enough, I did get sick after. But yeah, I got over it. Although the cough didn't go away till like a month after, man, it was kind of bad. But The actual sickness itself wasn't like horrible, but the cough was pretty persistent. But anyways, speaking of health, I guess I've been working out at the gym because ever since going back to Evo, I've been very much comfortable going to such places like the gym, and I was able to pick out a gym that is cheaper. So it's like essentially half the price of like the one I used to go to, which is like LA Fitness. So half the price for the new one. I'm like, damn, yeah, this probably is my jam for right now. So I'll stick with it. I've been liking this thus far. It has enough equipment for me to get a workout with, and yeah, I'm being happy with it. It's called like Blink for those who want to look it up. And funny enough, I think if I'm not mistaken, is close enough to the new facility I'm gonna transfer to anyway. So I'm like, wow, man, it's like all these stars are just aligning for me potentially, and so I can like go work out like more often now instead of just the weekend. So that's gonna be really cool. Potentially. All right. So lastly, I just want to tell you guys what shows and anime I've been watching as of late. So what I've been watching as of late is Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. It's been a pretty cool show. I think episode one was really, really good. Episodes two and three are like pretty good, but I think the debut was just so good for me that I feel like two and three are kind of like not living up to it. But now it's kind of just like moving the story forward for the sake of it. But episode three is interesting, so I would like to see where it's going. Especially if you guys like Showa era Kamen Rider stuff. This is something to probably worth picking up, I feel. So again, it's called Tojima Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. I think for the most part. Well, it's I think the full name is Tojima Tanazaburo, wants to be a Kamen Rider, pretty much. Another one I've been watching currently is Cinderella Grey, which is a Uma Musume spin-off featuring Oguri Cap, for those who care. I have been very consistently been liking it. The characters are really cool. The characters that are coming up are interesting enough. It's just kind of like moving the story along, and I just still like it. And looking forward to how they're gonna handle the rest of the story, because I think the manga is starting to come up to its end, because Oguri Cap's last race is coming up. If you're gonna look by the history of the real horse, and so I think Cinderella Grey is gonna be over with the manga, and then the anime will handle the rest essentially. This one's not an anime, but a TV show that I've been watching, or just got done watching, is Gen V season 2. I just watched episode 8 as it came out, and I will say right away I do like it, but there are some things I do want to talk about in a separate video. So I'll try to have a Gen V season 2 overall review video at some point. Lastly, for this video, just one more thing to bring up is that I'm still reading One Piece. When it comes to the anime, though, I'm kind of like putting it off to the side. I'm gonna let it brew, and then I'll have a big old binge session once I feel like it. But I'm still reading it along as it comes out, and that's been very, very cool. I've been really liking the story still. Even especially with the history stuff, there's a long flashback right now, but it's been pretty intriguing, and I'm very fascinated with the world still. It's just my only gripe is that sometimes, or I would say a lot of times, the parents get revealed very abruptly. It just, I don't know, it just kind of feels, doesn't, like, it just doesn't feel like it's been tied in so well, like the rest of the stories. Like sometimes, it's like, oh, by the way, these are Zoro's parents. And it's like, oh, okay. You know, it's like, it's off to the side. It's not even in the story. It's like this little corner that they have written by Oda himself, showing various things, including one of them featuring the family tree of Zoro. And it's just like, that's it. That's all we're gonna get. When there's no like flashback, no story to unfold with this whole family. That's it. That's all we get. This is my favorite guy. This is my guy. Zoro, my favorite character. He's like one of the most important characters, like ever. I feel he's like one of. Okay, I mean every Straw Hat is very important, but dude, he's my guy. He's my guy. He's my favorite character, dude. He's my favorite Straw Hat, and that's how his parents are gonna get revealed. And they did the same thing to another character as of recent. It's like, what? Okay, I guess. I mean, at least that family is getting a story. But damn, man, they did my guy dirty. Oda did my guy dirty. Like, what the fuck? It's just so disappointing. But I guess it could be a case of like, how could we fit this into the story? Right? I don't know. But I am definitely disappointed. But anyways, I think that's pretty much enough. It's been long enough. Like I said, it's a pretty long video. But anyways, that's I'm gonna end it right here. I hope you guys have found this entertaining to some kind, informing, and all that stuff. I know this is for people who are curious of how I've been doing. For the most part, for me, I've been doing good, especially with now. Like that work site is gonna be behind me, you know. But you know, I don't want to say like, oh, the people also behind me, all you know, all that stuff. But I will miss them for sure. But I'm gonna be moving forward with the new job and everything, the new job role, different facility, and better pay. It's, you know, closer to my house. The job could potentially be easier. It's like, how could I not accept that, right? And yeah, so no more hot summers in that freaking work floor. It's just gonna be air conditioner, man. Air conditioner and heater, man. It's gonna be nice. It is going to be relaxing in comparison, but yes. I think the caveat though is that I have to work with customers. But you know what, man? At this point, I'd rather deal with customers than deal with certain people. Man, it's like at least customers like different people every day, whereas you're dealing with the same person over and over and over again. But that's the work life. So you do what you have to do to get that weight off your shoulders. But if you have to take it that much longer, then hey, I mean, sometimes things happen fast, but sometimes things take its time. And that's, you know, that's life for you. But anyways, hit the like, subscribe. You have any comments relating to the video, leave it down below. Maybe any questions about the channel, I'm all ears. Any comments about the channel, I'm also all ears. So anyways, hope everyone's doing well, of course. And remember, that you are the most important person to yourself. So take care of yourself. You do what you got to do to make yourself better. And yes, sometimes you have to leave things behind. You have to be willing to sacrifice things. Some situations call for it, some situations don't. But when you have to, it's like when you know when the opportunity is better for yourself, but there's that sense of comfort that you may lose, you think you may lose, but this is the way to go forward. You know, you gotta make that choice. But I guarantee you, it will be great. All right. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Sean out.